Hello everyone, welcome to the lecture on caste system and identity. This lecture is part of your paper on media and margins. In this lecture, we will learn about the meaning of caste as a concept as well as an institution, along with various other important concepts associated with it, including its features. We will also learn how in India, caste forms a very important ground for one's identity formation, which continues to act as a major indicator for one's life chances and status in the society. The study of inequalities in society has always been one of the important areas of understanding in sociology. Social stratification in different forms is a universal phenomenon. However, the traditional pattern of social stratification in India continues to attract many scholars and researchers due to its complexities and uniqueness. Knowledge of the caste system leads to the understanding of the contemporary Hindu society and provides us an insight to the society that practices it. Social stratification, the Oxford Dictionary of Sociology, defines stratification as being usually applied to studies of structured social inequality, that is, studies of any systematic inequalities between groups of people which arise as the unintended consequence of social process and relationships. The term stratification is based by sociologists to describe inequalities that exist within the human society between the individuals and groups where they enjoy unequal rewards and status depending on which position they occupy within the system or society. Caste, class, race, ethnicity, gender are some of the prominent categories of social hierarchy and differentiation in many societies. Understanding caste has been one of the most discussed and debated concepts in sociology. The term caste has been derived from a Portuguese word casta, meaning pure breed. Sometimes it implies to a small and more or less localized group, while at times the same word is used to refer to a collection of such groups. Betel defines caste as a small named group of persons characterized by endogamy, hereditary membership, and a specific style of life, which sometimes include the pursuits by traditions of a particular occupation and is usually associated with a more or less distinct ritual status in a hierarchical system based on concepts of purity and pollution. Caste in India denotes to the extensive institutional arrangement which in Sanskrit is referred to by the two terms Varna and Jati. Varna meaning color refers to the division of the Hindu society into four orders, that is Brahma, Kshatriya, Vaishya and Shudra. This understanding excludes the outcast, untouchables from the structure as they were considered to be impure and polluted. Jati on the other hand is a term that means species or kind that is commonly used to refer to the institution of caste in India along with the word caste. There have been many debates among scholars regarding the link between the concept of Varna and Jati. In the essay Varna and Caste, M.N. Srinivas tried to show the distinction that existed between Varna and caste. According to him, a layman's view of Varna simply means the division of the Hindu society into four orders. The Varna scheme refers only to the broad categories of society and overlooks the existence of other effective units that are very much integral to the society and its structure. Also, the kind of image as shaped by Varna is unclear. To understand the caste system properly, one has to look beyond the Varna. Unlike the idea that Brahmins are placed at the top and the untouchables at the bottom, the positions occupied by each caste in the local hierarchy might be regionally different. Therefore, while the 4 classification is common to all of India, the hierarchy in terms of jati may have more local classifications that might vary regionally. The caste system, there are several theories and approaches that have been employed by both Indian and Western scholars to understand the functioning of the caste system in India. However, the caste system can be understood on the basis of the combination of 2 sets of principles, one in the form of difference and separation and other in the form of holism and hierarchy. Difference and separation denotes to the restrictions on inter-caste interactions which reflect in marriages, sharing of food as well as other forms of social interactions. Holism and hierarchy, on the other hand, is based on the concept of purity and pollution, under which certain caste groups are considered to be ritually pure, while the lower caste are considered to be polluting. For example, the Brahmins used to be involved with all the religious acts and rituals, thereby occupying a higher status in a caste society. In his essay Hierarchy, Status and Power, the caste system and its implication, Louis Dumont explains the notion of hierarchy has an essential place in his study. Hierarchy implies the opposition between pure and impure, which also determines its conflicting nature. It also suggests the relation of encompassing and being encompassed. According to him, in the caste system, the principle of purity encompasses the impure. The nature of the Indian caste system is very complex to describe it through certain specific features. Yet, G.S. Ghurye, in his book Caste and Race in India 1969, states the 6 important features of the caste system. The intensive and clear features of the caste system as provided by him continue to make relevance of the subject matter as caste in the past. They are segmental division of society. Under the caste system, society is divided into various segments which involves subdivisions within themselves. Each caste has its own traditional social status, functions and rules and regulations. Membership to these groups is determined by birth and therefore mobility from one caste to another is impossible. Hierarchy. There is a hierarchy of rank and status in caste. Each caste occupies a definite position in this hierarchy. Although such positions are not interchangeable, there might be certain variations, especially among the middle caste groups from region to region. Restriction on feeding and social intercourse. Member of different caste must follow certain rules about food and food sharing, which controls the social interactions of different caste group members. There are rules regarding what kind of food can or cannot be eaten by a caste group, especially the upper caste also. There are widespread beliefs of pollution by touching, which requires the members of different castes to maintain social distance from one another. Civil and religious disabilities and privileges of the different sections. Isolation of individual caste or of group of castes, especially in rural area, is an important marker of civil privilege and disability. Such practice has more or less prevailed in a distinct form all over the country. For example, the lower castes that are considered impure are still not allowed to enter temples in certain places. Lack of unrestricted choice of occupation. Under caste system, occupation of each caste is predetermined. Each caste group is traditionally associated with the caste occupation and restrictions were put on choice of occupation. beyond the one associated with their own caste. Restriction on marriage. Caste groups are endogamous, meaning marriages are restricted to members within their caste groups. Caste system and identity. Caste forms a very important ground for one's identity formation, which continues to act as a major indicator for one's life chances and status in the society. By now we have understood that caste identity is ascribed, meaning one is born into a particular caste, one cannot choose to be in a particular caste and also cannot change it, leave it or choose not to join it. However, there might be a few instances where a person might be expelled from a caste group to his or her inability to follow the rules as prescribed by their caste group. In order to understand the relationship between the caste system and identity, it is important to explore caste in the pre- and post-independence period. Jyotka 2015 emphasizes three types of changes in their caste system. Those coming from below, that is from low caste, social movement; those from above, that is constitutional provision or state policies in favor of the victims of discrimination; and changes from the side, that is changes that were not directly targeted at an emancipation of low caste people but that had an impact on them eventually. Many scholars agree that caste in its present form is a result of the colonial rule. During the colonial rule, many social institutions in India underwent tremendous changes. During the colonial administration, an official effort was made to collect vital information on caste system through census. This documentation sought to gather information on the social hierarchy of caste. Scholars feel that such formal counting strengthened the otherwise fluid caste system into rigid demarcations. Also, the colonial administration carried out various reform-related tasks for the deprived caste group. Under such reforms, the Act of 1935 gave recognition to the scheduled caste and scheduled tribes. This step also brought the untouchables under the category of SC. The post-independence period saw the continuation of the same policies, including other additions. The extension of special programs to the other backward classes since early years of 1990 was one of the most important additions to the existing policies. Also, changes were brought about by several land reforms introduced by the independent state. Such reforms withdrew land rights from the upper caste absentee landlords and vested it in the hands of the intermediate caste who used to manage agriculture for the upper caste landlord. This helped them to acquire significant economic power, turning them into the dominant caste in the villages, which even today continues to condition the democratic politics of the country. This eventually brought a shift in the power structure of the rural caste hierarchy. Apart from the above mentioned reforms, a number of laws were passed to forbid and stop caste atrocities such as the practice of untouchability. However, the most important attempt of the independent state at initiating compensation for the discrimination done towards the lower caste groups came in form of reservations. This form of positive discrimination ensured the reservation of seats for the members of SC, ST and OBC in various institutions. All these efforts, both deliberate and unintentional, made by the colonial rule, independent state as well as non-state initiatives have contributed into the identity formation among the caste groups in India. This eventually reflected in a complex scenario where caste continued to be an essential component of electoral politics, resulting in the formation of caste-based political parties since the 1980s. Over the years, there have been many references made to donate the untouchables, most of which continue to be derogatory terms. In 1930s, the term Harijan, meaning children of God, was introduced by Mahatma Gandhi in order to shun the various derogatory names. However, the most popular term by which the untouchables are referred to in the present times is Dalit. Dalit means oppressed and broken, and it was coined by the leaders of the community to express the sense of repression that they have been subjected to. This term gained popularity with the spread of B.R. Ambedkar's philosophy in the 20th century. Ambedkar converted to Buddhism in the year 1956 as a mark for protest against the caste discrimination experienced by him and his people. This act of initiated mass conversions of Dalit into Buddhism. Ambedkar conversion to Buddhism was a highly symbolic and political act that highlighted their hatred toward Hinduism as well as facilitated them to take control of their new identity directed towards the achievement of greater political advantages. Gail Ombed, in her book Understanding Caste, From Buddha to Ambedkar and Beyond, discusses three major emerging themes on which the Dalit politics rests. It posed as a challenge to the very concept of Hinduism as central to the Indian tradition. The movement sought to overthrow the hegemonic power exercised by the Brahmanic Hinduism. The movement attempted to encompass within itself all the sections of oppressed, exploited and marginalized groups such as Adivasis, OBCs, peasants and women who suffer discrimination due to the caste system. It is an amalgamation of new economic and political directions with a cultural challenge. The structural and endogamous division of caste group, the maintenance of the social hierarchy drawn in the caste system, and the historical division of labor in accordance with affiliation to specific caste groups has the ability to impose identity process among both upper and lower caste group. It is often argued that social stigma attached to caste as well as caste group affiliations have diverse and at times conflicting connotations for identity process among caste groups in both ends. The organized arrangement of the caste in-group and out-group within the social milieu hosts the possibility of adding to the meaning and uniqueness among both the upper caste and lower caste group. Dipankar Gupta 2014 restates that castes are often proud of their identity regardless of which position they occupy in the purity pollution scale. Conclusion. Let us now sum up what we have learnt in this lecture. In this lecture, we understood the conceptual framework of caste, thus providing ourselves a better window to understand the Indian society. Also, after listening to the arguments in this lecture, you will be able to connect the dots between the idea of caste and identity, and how it reflects in the social, cultural, and political setting of the Indian society. The interaction between caste and identity in India requires well thought out ways of dealing with this complex relationship. The political class in India needs to maintain a distinct agenda, ensuring discourse on eradication of caste with focus on development and progress, and not just strive for political power based on caste identities. Caste affiliations and caste identity continue to be a source of social security even amidst sharp class consciousness. The social scientists working in or on Indian societies have often assumed that the process of modernization initiated by the colonial administration will eventually break up the caste system and the ideologies revolving around it and give way to the class system. However, modernization has not been able to break the basic foundation of the caste system. The fact that some considerable changes have been witnessed in the caste system also cannot be denied, as it no longer is practiced as rigidly as ancient times. The growing Dalit assertion, be it in the form of theoretical or symbolic success, has managed to add to the distortion of structure of the caste system. The acknowledgement of the changes in the caste system, however, does not deny the fact that such process is not uniform throughout the country, wherein certain regions we see flexibility in day-to-day practices. In some regions, however, caste system is characterized by conservation and orthodoxy. Hence, considering the political culture and the stronghold of religion on the lives of most Indians, it would appear too early to think to the existence of a casteless society in the near future. For more details, please refer to the e-text of this lecture and the extended reading list. Please attempt all the questions in the end. Thank you.